Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore, and time for another whiskey tasting. It has been a while. It's been about 6 months since I did any kind of sort of steady updates on some tastings. I did one about a month ago. That one, if you watched it for Jack Daniels, it was in a weird space. It was actually where I do my interviews and also where I do my podcast recording. I've got my mixing board there and do all of that kind of stuff in that space. But it's not really conducive to doing tastings, and that's part of the reason why I haven't done tastings in so long. But I now have developed this little room here I call my Whiskey Snug, and I'm going to be doing my tastings from this spot from this point forward. So tasting should be back to some frequency, hopefully normal, if we don't have any kind of issues going on, but I think we're good from this point forward. So it has been so long since I've done tastings. There have been some bottles that have escaped me doing tastings because I enjoyed the flavor of them so much. I just went ahead and drank them and didn't get them to you to do tastings. One of those is something I'm going to feature today because I bought a second bottle of it. I enjoyed it so much. I said, I want to get a second bottle. So over the next 5 weeks, the 5 Whiskey Wednesdays coming up, I'm going to go through 5 whiskeys that I was very impressed with that I would like to showcase here. Whiskeys that when I got the bottles, I was not expecting much. And then once I tasted them, I went, holy cow, this is actually a really good whiskey and one that I should hold on to. So the first one that we're going to do is a Scotch, a Speyside Scotch, coming from a distillery that made the first Scotch whiskey that I really kind of, I started with Macallan. I would order Macallan 12s just because I thought, what else is there but Macallan? So that's how I got started on Scotch, like a lot of people. Then I discovered Glenfiddich, and I was like, well, it doesn't cost as much and actually is a really nice whiskey, very approachable. So I started ordering Glenfiddich. If I went to Vegas, I could play cards or do whatever, and usually they had Glenfiddich 12 on the menu. So I just got used to sipping it that way. But then I started to graduate and I was getting into other scotches, and I kind of left Glenfiddich behind. And I'd look at the bottles and I'd say, maybe, and then I would never buy. And then I went to Scotland and I went to Glenfiddich, loved the distillery, 12 little pot stills they have there. And this is really nice. Valley of the Deer is the name. And so they have deer all around, and just a really nice setting there for a distillery. And so there's a lot I like about Glenfiddich. But again, I went back and I just didn't really take the time to buy another bottle. And then I walked into the store and I saw this. We'll see how well it comes up on the camera. Flying by the seat of my pants today. Very bright light up there, so I don't know how well. Yeah, you're going to have a hard time seeing that. Someday I will get this all figured out. Actually, a little better from back here. This is the Cask of Amontillado Glenfiddich 12. And what they do is they basically age their normal Glenfiddich 12 in European and American oak casks, and then they finish it in an Amontillado cask. And I have been a little bit obsessive about Amontillado. A lot of it comes from my love for Edgar Allan Poe, and one of my favorite stories is the Cask of Amontillado. So when I went to Lefroy, I was really happy because I got to pull whiskey from a cask, and it was a cask of Amontillado with Lefroy, and that was really good. I bought myself a bottle of Amontillado just so I could figure out what flavors I was going to get. What shocked me when I got it was that it was not a fruity sherry. I, up until that point, thought that sherry, by its very definition, was a fruity spirit. But no, this is very nutty. It's a very nutty sherry. So it caught me by surprise, but it also made me think, well, this is unique. And so I want to see how this works in other whiskeys. Well, then I came across a bottle of Glenfiddich. It was somewhere between $55 and $60 a bottle. Affordable. I said, let me give it a shot. We'll see what it's like. And then I took my first sip of it and went, whoa, okay. I have been missing something here, and this is really good. And I cleaned that bottle out fairly quickly, and I went back to the store, and usually when I go to the store, I'm looking for a new bottle, something I can, present to you guys, or something to challenge myself with. It's very rare that I buy a bottle of whiskey a second time, unless it is just an absolute favorite. And guess what? This was one of those whiskeys that I said, I have to get it. This is so good. I need to get myself another bottle. So I still have some left in here, and I'm going to do a tasting today. So this is 43% ABV. It is, it's really interesting because on the nose, it is sort of the typical stuff that you expect from a Glenfiddich. You're going to get the apple and the pear, a little bit of nuttiness with it. But it comes with a lot more of an orange kind of a note, some cherries in there. The oak notes are coming through. That nuttiness is coming through on the nose. But just a lot of fruit there, and some baking spice coming through as well. Very light baking spice, but maybe some nutmeg and clove. Very expressive on the nose, though. Cheers. Very, very nice. One of the things that hits me on this immediately that I have to say is the cinnamon, because it's not only a baking spice cinnamon, but it's also that sort of red hot cinnamon, and they're both hitting at the same time. They catch your attention on the first go through, and but I get other stuff in there that's really interesting as well. Again, apple and pear, but the apple is much more of like a red delicious apple, and it's so juicy, and the flavor is making me salivate. It has just a little, I won't say sour because I'm not a big fan of sour, but it is kind of giving my tongue that reaction, making it mouth-watering, and really nice body to this whiskey. There's a little bit of toffee in there. The nuttiness again comes through, but on the finish, it dries out, and we start getting much more of that Amontillado cask influence of that nuttiness on the finish, and it's just so really nice. And the baking spices there as well. I can still sort of taste that red delicious is going on. It is a really, really nice whiskey, and it's one of those that you take the first sip of it, enjoy it, but you're going to probably get a little bit of the spike out of that cinnamon on the palate. The second time you have it, that mellows out really nicely, and you just start pulling in so many different flavors. I think that is what I love about this whiskey, and why I think it is one that you should really keep an eye out for, because it is a whiskey that has a lot of complexity, and it's not complexity you necessarily have to search for. It's complexity that is going to be hitting you all at once, and you just have to kind of decide which thing you're going to focus on at a particular moment. And I have a feeling, my time with it has been, it's really nice when you're sitting there and you just want to relax and enjoy something full flavored that is going to not overly challenge you, but will still be a challenge more than a Glenfiddich 12, which to me, Glenfiddich 12, maybe it kind of fits that Jameson category where it is somewhat neutral. It has its flavor profile, but when you put something on top of it, like adding a cask of Amontillado to the finishing process, it just brings out some really nice notes in that. And so, man, I'm getting some dark notes in here as well. It's funny because it's almost like there's this blood orange kind of note, and it hangs and lingers throughout this whole finish as well. So it is still on my palate here at the end with the nuttiness, but kind of memories of that fruitiness that's wanting me to dive back in and take another taste of it. So this bottle's probably not long for my shelf either. I will say that what I will probably end up doing is keeping this as a regular as long as it's around. What I want to know is there are some other Glenfiddich whiskeys that are out there that are finished whiskeys, and I'd really like to know if there's one that I should pay attention to, because my habit is when I find something I like, I just keep going back and buying it over again. That's how I do with food. If I go to a restaurant and I enjoy something, it's like I don't want to order anything else because I'm afraid I'm going to be disappointed and wish that I got the other thing. But if there is another one in the collection you think I should give a shot to, let me know in the notes below, because this is a really nice whiskey and I'd like to see if there are some other ones that go along with that. Now, this is just one of 5 that I'm going to be going over the next few Wednesdays. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'm going to be bringing some lore into this as well. In the if you look now, you'll see that on my YouTube page, I have tasting videos, but I'm also going to have some debunking of whiskey lore as well. And the next episode will be about that. And then we'll be back next Wednesday with another tasting. So hope you enjoyed this. Great to be back. And until next time, cheers and Slàinte mhath. I'm getting raisins now. Plum, raisins, a lot of dark fruit coming from that sherry cask too. Wow.